Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. This is going to be a tremendous Baltimore Positive segment. You know, during bye week and taking a little break from, doing the things we do around here with football and mixing things up, I've been honoring all of my teachers in a weirdly peculiar teacher appreciation month. I wanted to sort of begin with my kindergarten teacher and go through. Then my kindergarten teacher got sick. She hasn't been on yet, but we had my first grade teacher, Miss Janda, who you can go watch, as well as my fifth grade. Oh, see, I knew we were going to have some fun with this. She mentioned you too, by the way. My 10th grade teacher, Miss Monday, Susan Monday, who went into a life and talk radio. You can go hear her. And Julie Simon, who was my professor in college my senior year, her first year teaching. She was a television news producer who I was always fascinated by, who for 30 years has been teaching fools like me about corporate communication at UB. This one, however, is a little bit different because if I could spend 30 minutes with her mother, I would, and I know she would as well. Your mom was one of my favorites. You know, I've already yelled out Betsy Johnson as being my favorite because we're trying to find her in some way. Someone said she was alive. And if she is, we need to find her son Eric or any of her descendants. But you are the descendant of my second and third grade reading teacher, who became my third grade reading teacher, who I think at one of my darkest moments, Melissa, I said, she let me be me. Does that sound like your mom?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I hear that from a lot of people.
I bet you do. Now, first things first, you're in a band, and I should say this. You're not just like the daughter of a teacher. You went to school with us. So, like, I don't know the whole story. I only know that you were Mrs. Houk's daughter. We were kind of like grazing in classes in and out between the years, and then you sort of went away. And your mom never went away because your mom was, my son went to school there. Your mom had just begun there. And then she sort of disappeared. And then you showed up on Facebook, and then we lost her. And I don't really know much else because, like we said about teachers, they left at 3 o'clock every day when the bell rang. And, like, we didn't really need to see them till Monday morning. And a lot of people don't go back to their teachers. But your mom was always my fave.
No, thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, what's the background? You went to Colgate Elementary like I did, right?
Went to Colgate for up to 5th grade. And I don't know if a lot of people knew, my mom grew up as a single mom with, basically my dad left the family when I was born. It's nothing I did, really. No, I just, but after he left, she was pretty much on her own. He wasn't much in the picture. So when we lived in Parkville and Colgate.
I did know that. I knew that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Colgate is in, I guess that's considered Essex. And
we call it Dundalk, but don't tell anyone. It's
fine. Yep. And and I miss Colgate. I heard they tore it down, and that kind of broke my heart because that was a neat school with the little tunnels and stuff underneath. It was kind of
I tell people all the time, and it had bomb shelters built in. It was built in the 1920s. Don Mueller and I talk about it all the time, Melissa, because it is beautiful what they've done over there. It's an incredible investment. We talk so much about tax money and investing in our children, investing in the future. I mean, the school was built 100 years ago. There was only one functioning water fountain that probably had lead in it. I don't know. It was right outside your mom. I always thought, like, your mom's classroom was amazing, right? Because it really was the classroom from The Christmas Story, right?
Yeah.
Like with
windows, and she decorated and little activities.
And there was a real coat room, like a children's coat room where children in the old brick schoolhouse would put their jackets. She turned it into a little bit of a closet. I think they all did. And it all smelled of chalk, and we had to take the things. Remember that we take the buckets out, You had to rinse the chalk at the end of the day. You go home, you smell like ass, and your mother would say, "What were you doing?" Mrs. Houk, maybe take the chalk out today, Mom, So what did you do wrong, So, but nonetheless, the school was really an amazing place. And now we've had, 100 years later, it's being replaced with this completely modern thing. So, I mean, as much as I love the old stuff, and I'd give anything to just drink out of that little fountain one more time.
Yes.
But what fond memories, right? Like, it's crazy we're all here 50 years later talking about this, right?
Exactly. But yes, she, because we lived in Parkville and it was kind of like a good 20-minute, 25-minute drive. She didn't have the means for daycare for me. So I ended up going to school with her up until 5th grade. And then it was like the last year for 6th grade, our local school in Parkville, Harford Hills Elementary. She's like, well, I really need to get you into that elementary school. You're old enough to walk to the school yourself, to just get me, introduced to the students. And I'm really going to be going to school with. So that was the change from the 5th grade to the 6th grade.
So you went to Parkville High.
I actually went to Loch Raven.
You went to Loch Raven. So you were 85 Loch Raven, is that right?
We just had a reunion, and oh my God, it was the best reunion. Like, everybody was just absolutely phenomenal.
How is my dude John Kiefer? Is he still involved?
I don't know. I'd like to know if he's going to run for president, like he was going to do in his yearbook photo.
I love Keith, man. Well, it's been great to catch up with all the Colgate people and the memories and the stories. But give me a little glimpse about your mother being a teacher and like what that meant, because I'm talking to teachers, and listen, there were teachers like your mom who taught forever. And someone told me she taught almost 50 years. Is that true?
Oh gosh, it probably, yeah, because that was her first and only job. She when she came out of high school, they needed either people working for the CMP, Verizon CMP telephone company.
That's my wife. My wife, 30 years now. You know what's going on?
Or being teacher, and they would pay for your education. So she went into the teaching, and she had been in there, I think, ever since.
Where was she from? Where was she raised?
Ellicott City. Well, she was raised, I think it was, I know I got the number wrong. It was like 1322 Marietta Avenue is what she always, in Baltimore City off Northern Parkway. And then when she got married, she moved out to Ellicott City.
Do you remember the Electric Company TV show?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think on days when you were too much for her and life was too much for her, she's like, kids, the Electric Company's coming on at 10 o'clock. We're going to dim the lights in here. We got a television. We didn't have televisions, 5-8 years ago. We got televisions now. And we literally would watch Morgan Freeman and the Electric Company.
Yep. That was
man, I got to think about the Spider-Man, episodes. Remember that? And the Hot Shot episodes. Remember that? But I never watched Sesame Street. Like, my wife and I get into this because she was Sesame Street, Big Bird. I don't know Big Bird, Ernie, Bird. I don't know any of them, but I know all the Electric Company people.
Well, the Electric Company had all the neon and all the, like, modern, it was just
good stuff.
Yeah.
Great for educational hippies, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so let's fast forward. I left you, or you left me, right around 1977, 78, okay? I went on to Miss Johnson's class and got a world education. She tried to send me off to McDonough. My parents tried to send me off to Curley, and I explained to my parents there weren't girls there. And there was a movement to send me to Mount Carmel, and I said, there's not enough people there. No offense. I love my friends at Pizza John's and Al's, Essex. My parents were married in Mount Carmel in 45. No offense. So I went to Dundalk High, and I went to Dundalk Community College, UB. I've done my thing. I only know of you in the modern era through Facebook, so I don't know your life's journey or the band part of you. I really remember you being this sort of tall, because I was short, energetic, sort of bounce around, carefree person. And I remember, like, sort of you had, like, ponytail things. And I lost you at 11 years old, and now I don't want to date you or you date me, but they know I just turned 52, and they know things are like that. So anyway, give me a little bit of your journey, because I look up, we have something wonderful in common, which is Japan. I love Japan.
Right.
Last year. And you have a band, and I want you to promote the band. You got guys around you, gals around you, band around you, drummers, guitarists. And I see that you're a bassist, and I've YouTubed you, and I see that you guys rock the house, and I know we're in COVID and stuff sucks, but I want to, like, tell me about your band and stuff,
Well, the band I've always loved music. Music has gotten me through, like you were saying, getting you through some dark times. I think everybody hits that one point where they have that dark time in their life. The music has always gotten me through. My mom was always there, but mom was always busy.
Grading my damn papers is what she's doing.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know if this is like, but
look at that. All right. Yes.
There's Mama. And
I got a couple of her too. I'll pull them up.
Oh, and yeah, I was going to say the other thing too. I know this is going off a little bit, but she has, and I was trying to find it. I know it's upstairs, but she has an album of every year of every class photo of every class she's ever taught. She's got everybody's names written down on the back so that she could remember everybody that she had taught. There were certain photos, and yours is one, that she had kept on her dresser bureau in one of the living rooms for her favorite students. So it's any time that she had like a problem or something and she wanted to escape, she would remember the students that she loved the most, and she would look at their photos, smile, and then it kind of gave her a reason to continue. But she, and I don't know what happened to it when she passed and we sold the house. There we go. Yep. Very nice. And yep, she's got one. There he is down on the corner.
She had her eyes closed. I mean, what the hell? What would happen that morning?
She looks a little angry. Maybe something I did.
She probably didn't like my shirt. I mean, look at that shirt, dude. What was that all about?
Isn't he cute?
Yeah, it's what's just crazy. I went through this period, I guess, at this point in my life where, I dress kind of wild. I mean, it's not that I do that anymore, Melissa. I mean, you haven't seen any of my outfits, but people wonder where this stuff came from. I pulled Miss Janda up in the piece, and if you're from Colgate, go see the Miss Janda piece as well from my first grade teacher. But I was wearing like a really wild shirt on the individual day. And later in life, I found a very, very similar shirt, and I bought it. My wife's like, why are you buying that navy blue shirt with the pink roses on it? And I'm like, you don't understand. I had this shirt in the first grade. My parents bought it at Epstein's, and it's in my first grade picture. So this one, I don't know what the hell this was. It looks like some sort of Robert Graham, Calvin Klein special. But I really want you to pay attention to the shoes. My parents, it's not like my parents weren't poor like that. There must have been something about these shoes that I wore them in Little League for 3 summers. And I don't know, because my parents dressed me better.
That's funny.
I thought they did. But do you remember any of these kids?
Yeah, I see Janine in the back.
I see Janine there, absolutely.
Lisa, I think, is where right next to my mom. Was that her name, Lisa? And, Ralph and Scott.
There you go.
Shannon Brewer in the pink.
Sean's right there. There you go.
Yeah, Shonda Schilling now.
Douglas, I want to give Danny a shout out because he's been watching the whole series and he loved your mom too.
Nice. I
haven't seen Karen forever. I'm going to have to give her a shout out. And Lisa moved to like Texas when we were kids. So in Facebook, this brings Steve Carroll's still down in Anne Arundel County. I see him from time to time. Scott, I see online from time to time.
Oh, wow, really?
I see as well. So shout out to everybody from Colgate. It really is that like the stage is gone and that crazy that
big heavy curtain.
Oh my God, that thing must have stunk from 1928, right? Had to, right? But you know what we remember about there? That was our cafeteria too. We were talking about the cafeteria food. The cafeteria food did not stink. We had really good food at Colgate Elementary when I was a kid. Almost too good. I got a little chunky,
Peanut butter fudge. Oh, my God.
Remember that? I say to my wife all the time, the peanut butter confection. It was the greatest thing
my
ever.
God, yes. Roll it a little ball.
Do you remember the mushy broccoli that was all buttered up so they make us eat it? It was delicious. Melissa is here. Melissa Houk has been my friend since 1974. We might sing the Electric Company. We're going to turn it on. We'll sing that song a little later on. But tell me about your band and where you are now. Because you guys, you play a nice little mix of rock and roll, right?
Right. Yep. Jinokoya is originally a original band. And then when we got together, we were playing with another band, great musicians. Things happened. We kind of went our separate ways. But they're still playing in between. Like our drummer's still within both of the bands. But we wanted to take things in a little bit more creative direction because Jinokoya is basically all original. But in order to play out and do the scene, we started doing covers to just get out there. And just
like every band that's ever been a band, right? I mean,
yes,
literally,
exactly.
right? Of course, yes.
But then COVID happened.
Right
and
on.
Every time that we try to get a gig, somebody in the club gets corona or the numbers go up, and every show is getting canceled. And shout out to the other bands that are going through this, because it's tough.
Well, Melissa, let me tell you what. I mean, my life in music, I was the music critic at the paper back in the 80s, and I've put a whole platform together now with WNST classic stuff that I hope you go out and check out at Baltimore Positive. We'll make sure your stuff's in the music side as well. So it's mixed in there. People can find it. But more than anything, I mean, music is like medicine, like totally medicine. Like I would sell my soul right now to go sit at Merriweather and see. I had Pearl Jam tickets. I had Stones tickets. I've traveled around the world. I went to Japan last year to see U2 play Saitama Arena and play in Korea and in South Korea. So like love music and love all parts of that. Tell me about the music you were covering. And again, back in March, you and I are connected on Facebook, but we're connected by like 30 mutual friends. There's only a handful of Colgate friends. Almost everyone else is someone in the music business. And I said to my wife when I went out to freshen up, for the show, I said, I haven't talked to Melissa in like 40 years, but like, God, we have all these music friends in common. We know all the same. There's quite a scene here, and people do take care of each other here in the music industry.
Right. Yep. So, I guess with the covers we were doing, it was Melissa Etheridge, Alanis Morissette, Pretty Reckless, Stevie Nicks,
Nice.
and a lot of the male vocals too. I got a very low voice, so I can cover a lot of the male songs as well. So, but we're going to come back to do more because of this little hiatus because of COVID. We're going to start recording the originals. We're going to start focusing on what Jinokoya was meant to be. And then when we're ready, when COVID's over with, we'll start hitting the festivals. So that's what the direction that we're going to take this now.
I remember a couple of years ago, I saw you hitting the bass, and then recently I went online and saw like you were doing covers and some rock and roll stuff, and rocking out and booking gigs, and I thought that's kind of cool. But the whole roots of Jinokoya and the way you pronounce it, and of course I looked on your Facebook, and it said, and I'm not going to put your Facebook up; it's private for you, but it said learning Japanese, and of course I start to sing, turning Japanese, and I was in an 80s band, a cover band called Ridgemont High, and we covered turning Japanese, right? So I went out to my wife and I'm like, yeah, this chick, Melissa, she's coming on, like, and I loved her mother. And when I saw her mother had just died and we didn't catch up and we're going to do the segment. Right. I'm probably going to cry 3 or 4 times. I'm at 2 at this point. I'm going to have to blow my nose while your band's playing. But there's a whole Japanese thing going on, right? Yes. With your band. And so give me your lowdown on Japan and when it came into your life. Because, like, when you grow up on Bank Street and Colgate in the 70s, Japan was like World War II and Pearl Harbor, and that's your association to it, especially if you have parents born in 1919, as I did. And then you get a little older, and maybe you try some sushi with some cooked crab, and it's sort of a gateway drug to all sorts of crazy things. And you may try Sapporo or a beer or whatnot. But, my eyes got open in 2007 when I went over to Asia for the first time. I had been to Australia, been other places in the world. My family's from South America. God bless immigrants. We built this place. But nonetheless, for you with Japan, when did it come into your life? Did your mother have any association to Japan?
No, actually, it kind of scared the hell out of her because she didn't want me going over there, by myself. I'd given up music for 10 years, and which is that dark spot that I was talking about. Then I met a Japanese musician, and when I think Japanese music, you think in the traditional style, kabuki theater, but he gave me some other bands to listen to. And I'm like, holy crap, this stuff is like the music that I used to play back, in the day, because we did the circuit with a couple of the bands. And so I started
when you say did the circuit, what does that mean? What is the circuit?
Max is on Broadway. We had Maxwell's in Parkville.
Cover bands? Gosh, what were you doing?
Valley View Inn. So I was keyboardist at the time for those bands.
Okay.
A little background.
But a cover band. But, you've been playing music forever, though, right?
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then Yeah, so I really fell in love with I'd always liked the culture, always been interested. And then I started listening to the music. Now I'm like, you know what? Let me start taking Japanese classes. So I went through all the classes in college to learn Japanese. Then I became a language helper for
hang on a second. So when we were kids, did you like learn Spanish at Lock Ray? I mean, were you ever interested in the language?
Just French, and it was only like 1 year or like one class of French.
And your mother spoke English perfectly, by the way, because she graded my papers.
But she made sure I did too.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, my family was Hispanic, and I, Venezuelan, and my Dundalk family always discouraged me from learning Spanish, right? Like the whole Archie Bunker thing that I talk about all the time around here. So I'm not fluent in Spanish. I wish I were. I mean, it was available to me. My stepmother tried to teach me ojo, manos, like all of that, and figuring out how to conjugate some verbs. I make my way through Buenos Aires, and I've made my way through Madrid and Zaragoza and other places around the world with a little bit of Spanish, but it sucks that I don't know it now. Like Japanese would be right up there with like maybe Russian and Esperanto with languages that I'd be like, dude, I've been to Japan a couple times and I love Japan, but I would live the rest of my life there and I wouldn't even tackle how to like work out their language because it's not based on alphabet, it's based on characters, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So when you just say, well, you just put it in a sentence. You're like, so I wanted to learn Japanese, so I went and learned Japanese, and then I started playing some music, and I'm like, whoa. I don't learn Japanese on, like, night school at Essex Community College,
Right.
How do you learn Japanese, Melissa?
To be honest, you really have to be immersed in it because the classes are okay, but when I went to Japan, I'm trying to speak to my friends. They're like, we don't talk like that anymore. Some of the, phrases, or it's old school Japanese.
When did you do this? When did you start learning Japanese?
I'd say 2007. Then I went
you're 40 years old. I mean, you were a full grown up. You like tackling a language like that as a grown up. How proficient are you? Had you been with me in Tokyo for 4 days with my wife, would we have gotten like, I don't know, better sushi or something? I don't know.
Yeah. I would take you to places that tourists do not go.
We went to some of those because we went with Julio, but that's a whole other story. And when you go to Asia with Julio, things happen. Melissa, it's beautiful having you on. Melissa Houk has been my friend for 40 years. Her mother was my second and third grade reading teacher. She's made me cry twice. Her band hasn't even played yet. We've talked a little bit about Japan. I want to come back to Japan, but I want your band to play. They've all taken some time out of the day. I want you to introduce me to Jeff, the whole band. Give me the lowdown.
This guy is absolutely phenomenal, and I am absolutely blessed to have him, to work with this guy. He's guitar-wise, I hate to say it, but he's like my Eddie Van Halen,
That means a lot because, Eddie Lauer and Paul Lamanti, all my guitar buddies in town, everybody has appreciation for other musicians. So, I love hearing musicians. What do you think of her, Jeff? Is anything cool with her? She all right?
Well, giving Melissa, she has so many dimensions, so many different layers, right? She plays so many different instruments, and she has all these different levels to what she's doing, whether it's working on lyrics, whether it's working on brand new ideas, whether it's reworking a cover that's old, but it's going to sound completely new when the rework is done. Her creativity is really amazing. And I hope that as we keep working on putting things out there that people really get a glimpse at, because you don't see it with cover bands.
Well, and I think everybody at this point is waiting for the thaw, whatever that is, right? Like I've seen the drive-in shows. We had a drive-in EDM show down here. My wife and I drove 100 miles to Philly to see my buddy Tommy Conwell sit on a stool outside of a bar on the hood of our car. And Eddie Lauer's been playing from the second floor over at the Admiral's Cup at 4:00 every Saturday. So we've had a little bit of, soul, music for our soul. But I'm reaching out to musicians now that I've launched a new website. Everybody knows my music background. JY from Styx is going to be our second first, because you're really sort of the teacher appreciation month part of this, even though we're bleeding into the music, which makes it perfect, Melissa. So introduce the rest of the band here and let's play some music.
All right. Yeah, the rest of the band, unfortunately, I was going to say Bobby LaLuna, bassist, and Butch Lilac is the drummer.
Nice.
And I would say we're going to do one of the ones that I wrote when I was in Japan. A lot of my songs have lyrics in Japanese. So I figured that would be a good segue. We'll do Sayonara-san, which is a friend of mine, the friend of mine who got me into this whole culture. When he left the U.S., this is the song that I wrote.
All right, we're going to talk about Tokyo when the song's over. Let's do it.
Rising sun on your face reveals a tear in your beautiful eastern eyes. Time is brutal, it crushes our hearts. It's difficult to swallow back our cries. I know you have to leave, but that doesn't bring any comfort to my choking heart. And now ask, why did we have to be alone? So we have to walk. No look to me tight. You painted my life with colors as bright as the sun. No me tight. We broke the rules to cultures becoming one. It only seems like yesterday I met your smiling face. Who thought we'd come this far? Who thought we'd be here saying goodbye?
Nice. I muted myself to make sure that I would, that I was. You know what? Even on a Zoom, and I wish we had like full sound on everything. That was just beautiful, and it's great to catch up with you. It really is. And for your band, tell everybody where to find the band. And listen, I follow bands everywhere. There's a band called the Bodines that I loved. That's sort of a jangly Midwestern, and I hope they vote the right way in Wisconsin this week. But, I follow Kurt Newman from the band on Facebook, and he's taken this pandemic I think he's 50 or 60 songs in, having completely reworked all of these incredible songs. Every 3 days he comes out with a video that he produces in his home, and he's talking to fans. It's really a time for engagement, isn't it? I mean, in whatever way we can, because we got to be 6 feet away and masked and all of that. But it's amazing how music brings people together.
Absolutely. Yes.
Japan for you. When's the last time you went? And tell, I don't want to say my audience, our audience, people that would ask that don't even like sushi and are afraid of things Japanese or think they would be confused if they landed in Tokyo. I once lost my wife in Tokyo Station across a portal. It was a mess. I was back in 06. She still brings it up 13 years later. But I'll give you a little Japanese story. So we'll leave it at this, and I'll let you tell me your story, because I never wanted to go to Japan. I never thought of going to Japan. When the NFL played games there and baseball, the Orioles would go over and play. I never thought about going there. When I went to that side of the world, I had gone to Australia twice. I'd never gone to Hawaii, but I'd never thought about going. And Cal Ripken was doing a tour of China in advance of the 08 Olympics. So in 2007, and he did Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou on a Chinese tour, and we went over to that side of the world with Cal, and I said, I'm not going over here without going to Hong Kong, because that was really where I wanted to go. Okay. And I said, and if we go all the way over there, we're going to go to Tokyo. I said, I don't even know if I'm going to like it. I'm going to read up on it. And I had nothing against anything Japanese, but it's just not a place that I had ever thought about going when I was 28 years old. And now I found myself I guess I was 38 or 39 at that point, and I was intrigued, right? So we went, I broke out the books, and when we got there, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go to sleep. It was the last part of the tour. It was like day 9, 10, 11. So we should have been dog-ass tired after doing the Great Wall of China, after running all day and all night in Hong Kong. And we landed in Tokyo, and I got like the Manhattan rush. You know, I had to go. I had to go all night. I had to see everything I could see, every temple, every building, everything, every stand bar, every sake. You know, I had to do everything I did, right? And then I had to get back, and it took me 12 years, and we finally went back. We just stayed in downtown Tokyo this time because we were only there 3 days, and I said, you know what? We went all over. Now this time we're just going to stay really centralized and just see on foot everything. We had the best time. It's so awesome. And I tell people, you will never, ever regret traveling, right?
Exactly.
How many times to Japan for you? When's the last time you went?
Last time I went was 2018. And I'd say I'd probably been there about 10, 12 times.
Wow. So all over different islands, doing different stuff, or just...
Yeah, a lot of it was meeting with musicians, playing with musicians. I did 2 concerts in Tokyo. So that's where I originally wanted to move. I wanted the music. I love the musicians over there. I'd go to the concerts over there. There's a huge festival near Lake Biwa called Inazuma Rock Fest. And they just have all the top musicians, Japanese musicians that will perform there. And but that was the number one reason, was just for the music. And
I have an F Trump shirt in the Cheap Trick logo from the 70s, the black. And when we were over this time, we specifically walked through the park in the rain to get to Budokan. And we like circled Budokan because of Cheap Trick, you know, and we took some pictures and whatnot. And I know Budokan was for staging all sorts of things, sumo wrestling. It's a bit of a square, and anybody, you want to Google it, they were literally remodeling it. So it had fencing all around it. They were spending money on it. And that was, you know, last December, we went to Satayama to see U2. And I'll leave you with this because you've talked so much about how much you love Japan and Japanese musicians and how much they love music. Well, you know, in the pregame for U2, they're playing Zeppelin songs and Beatles songs and stuff. And it's a chorus of people singing, but it's polite to a fault where no one touches anyone, no one pushes anyone. We had general admission in the pit because a friend of mine, Jason, I love you. Thank you very much for hooking that up. And we were 10 feet from Bono when he came out to do Sunday Bloody Sunday, and you know, Larry Mullins just starting the beat with it, and I have it all on video. You can go check it out. I shot a great HD thing of it just to experience it. It was really, really special to see a show like that in that environment where so many people come together. And you think about music bringing the world together. I thought this was my wife. We've seen U2 in Buenos Aires. We've seen them in Rio de Janeiro. We've been around the world for concerts. It's amazing how music brings the world together.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
Well, I'll tell you what, tell everybody about your band, where they can find you and all that good stuff. And then I'm going to ask Jeff what he knows about your mother that maybe he learned in this thing. Because do people ask about her mother all the time, Jeff?
So the things, you know, there's so many resemblances. As soon as I saw the picture, I'm like, oh, that's your cheeks. Oh, that's your. And every time we go through a conversation where we're talking about music or life, then we're always hitting mom. As far as it's a theme, you know, those influences, and you know, I know how important mothers are. You know, I love my mom too, and so you know, I totally get it. And I think it's great that there's so much of a thread that comes through time. I'm just overwhelmed.
When my first practice with Jeff and the band, there was another gentleman there. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was like, Melissa Houk. And he came over and he hugged me and he started crying. He said, I had your mother as a teacher. He said, I had some of my darkest days and your mom pulled me through. It didn't matter what time of the night, she was there for her students. Yeah. And because of the, he said that if it wasn't for her, he'd probably either be in debt or jail. And I lost.
You know how I knew you were from Parkville? I had your mother's phone number. It was a 665 number, maybe? Yes?
668.
But I knew it was a Parkville number. That's why I knew you were from Parkville.
Oh, a minute, 661-8770. Oh,
go.
my gosh. Do I really remember that?
Yeah, we wouldn't get to give my mother's phone number out right now. I'm sorry. It was like Atwater Cab. He used to call us. Well, Melissa, it's been great remembering your mother and promoting your band. Jeff, nice to meet you as well, and cry a little bit about your mom. I'll tell you this. Your mom always spoke to me like I was a grown-up. And,
Yeah.
not everybody did, right? And I told Miss Janda this. The reason I even knew your mom is I was an advanced reader. So when I went to kindergarten, I read on a 7th grade level. So everything was sort of boring to me in elementary school because I sort of knew the answers because I could read stuff other kids couldn't read. Speaking about reading the language, like you and me hanging out in Tokyo, you'd be like, dude, that's not a kitchen, it's a bathroom. Don't go in there. Because you can read the language, So I was just a little bored. And your mom sort of knew that, you know what I mean? And I used to leave Miss Janda's class and walk up the hallway past art, right? Literally to your mom's classroom toward the office. And I did that every day of my childhood to walk from one classroom to come to your mom's classroom for 3 years because your mom was the reading teacher that they were like, hang out with her, she'll handle you. Because I was a mess, right? I mean, I was like a pretty high energy kid, right?
Well, she loved you. She absolutely loved you.
My picture was on the wall in your home?
She had just like a little frame. There's certain students, or like maybe 3 or 4 students, and they were her favorite students of all of them. And you, I think, was her number one favorite student.
You're making that up.
She had a bad day. I am not. She had a photo of you, and to be honest, I think it was the dark blue shirt with the red, pink roses on it. It was a school photo that she kept.
I think that was a girl's shirt.
And those days, probably not.
It probably buttoned with the wrong button. When it goes up on the wrong button, unless it's from Paris, it's wrong. Melissa Houk is here. The band is Jinokoya. You can find them online. You can find them here. You can find them at Baltimore Positive.
Nokoya. I know it's a strange spelling, but Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, even we have an official website also.
Well, despite the fact that you dogged Colgate being rebuilt, the day they reopen it, I'm going to make sure you get invited.
Thank you. I would love that.
And then we'll take our masks off and we'll all go to Pizza John's and we'll eat proper, okay?
You got it.
I'll bring some sushi on the side for you, some mochi. We'll do something, all right? Next time we get together, did you see my wife's pictures from Japan? Do you know what happened over there with her?
No.
Oh, man, if my wife were, if she's not working right now, I'll have her come in here and tell the story because it's a better story when she tells it. But let me see if I can find the pictures from Tokyo with my wife and I so my wife's from New Hampshire, okay? And she grew up in a family where her family hosted exchange students. I mean, I never knew anybody in Colgate that hosted exchange students. But my wife – her family did this, right? So all over the world, she has, somebody she knew when she was a kid. I'm trying to find the photos on my Facebook because I'm going to find them and then I can go through it. We can have some fun if I find them all. Yes, I think I found a bunch of them. Okay, so I'm willing to share this now because it's on my Facebook. People can see it anyway. So we went over to Japan in 2007, and the whole time we're over this before the internet, before Facebook, MySpace, whatever. She's like, my friend Yuka, you can live with me. You can live with me.
Oh.
She found Yuka before she had cancer the first time, maybe 2011 or 12. So we wind up going over to Japan. This is Yuka in front of the Kabuki Theater.
Okay, cool.
So Yuka became her Facebook friend. Yuka took the day off, took the train into the city, and made like a whole Japanese day for us. So we did all of this stuff. She dressed us up in...
Oh, my gosh. Look. Oh, wow.
So you didn't see any of this stuff?
No, I did not.
That's me eating noodles. I know you find that crazy that that's Tokyo Station. Here's a little sushi experiment we had here for the locals so they can freak out a little bit for us here. Here's a dude in the Tokyo what's the market called? Skeezy Market, right? Skeezy Market. It's the outdoor fish market. This dude is a baseball fan. Yeah. He made some noodles with us. And here we are. This was our Christmas picture last year.
That is awesome. I have a Koji Uehara shirt.
I guess, you know what, this guy here, I think that, I don't know what the back of his shirt said, but they traded for Dylan Bundy that day. The Angels did. Said he spoke enough English to speak some baseball with me. Hey, you'll appreciate this because you love Japan. How about that?
Oh, there we go. Yep.
That's my man Julio. Julio's the tequila connoisseur of the world. And so this is one thing I'm really proud of, okay? I'm going to leave you with this because we'll have some fun. When I'm missing a finger, you know that, right? The kids all made fun of me back when I was a kid. You know, I'm missing a pointer finger.
Oh my gosh! No, I did not.
You don't know I'm missing a finger? Hold on. So I've been missing a finger my whole life, right? So when I was like in the second grade, I would like freak the kids out by going like this and stuff like that. So anyway, I can't do that when you've been crying. It's a little weird. So anyway, so I all my life I struggled with chopsticks.
Chopsticks, yeah.
I have now mastered chopsticks. So I guess if I can master chopsticks, maybe I can learn a little more Japanese than I think. Because in 2007, so this is great. 2007, you'll appreciate this. Can I blow my nose? Can you play some music while I blow my nose?
Go ahead. You don't have COVID, do you? Do I need to put on my mask?
No, I'm saying it, not spraying it. That's good. Yeah, film music. I like that, Jeff. Thank you very much. Very nice.
There you go.
So anyway, so in 2007, we landed in Beijing, okay? All-night bender with Ripken. We flew out of Dulles, okay? We slept a little while, and we just wanted to get acclimated and get awake and get on local time. You know what that's like. You've flown 10 times to Japan, right? So we found – this is in the Fodor book guide or timeout book era. This is before the internet. And we found this place. It was called Bellagio. My wife had the best Dan Szechuan noodles of her life in Beijing at this place, right? You went in, you know, the cigarette smoke. It was terrible. It was 2007. So they come over, and it's China. It's my first night there. No one in Beijing speaks English. No one, right? So they come over to the table, and they bring chopsticks. And I'm like friggin' starving. And I'm not one of those, I'm not going to eat that or whatever. If it's a fish head, maybe, but like I'll eat most anything. And I love Asian food. I'm looking at the menu. I'm pointing at stuff. So they bring me chopsticks and I'm like, I showed them my finger. And I thought, they're going to bring me a fork, right? They brought me back toothpicks. So when that happened, my wife looked at me and she's like, dude, I know you're missing a finger and it's a little bit of a crotch and you've learned how to write perfectly and type perfectly and fake pick your nose and do all sorts of things with your finger. You might want to figure out chopsticks, okay? So my Asian ode to you is that 12 years later, I am a chopstick eating effer, okay? I have managed chopsticks.
Awesome.
One insult in Beijing, and I picked up the low. You know, so I could figure out Japan if I had to go live there, but it'd be far easier with you because you speak the language.
Right. I'd get you around.
Melissa, love you. I appreciate you. Loved your mother. I appreciate you sharing a little bit of your soul and your story. Is there anything else we should know about your mom before me? Because so many students out there and people that know you, anything of it. I think of, in retrospect, I sort of thought your mom probably was like an old hippie who just loved children. More than anything, just loved children.
She always seemed happy. It didn't matter, like, you know, through the divorce. She lost her daughter. I had a sister, and she lost her daughter, and in a car accident, and but a car plowed into her, and but she made the best. I mean, as much as she's been through, she's just, I can look at her, I'm proud that she was my mom, because no matter what, it was life is going to throw crap at you, and it's up to you what you do with it. And it made me stronger. There was no, just all around, you know, to be kind to people. I'm very proud. I'm proud when I hear students that will reach out to me through Facebook and say, oh my gosh, are you Carolyn Houk's daughter? And then they would tell me the stories. And it's like, oh my God, it makes me so proud that I had, that she had touched so many people. And that means so much.
I appreciate it. And when they open Colgate, I'm going to make sure Johnny will get you an invite. We'll get you over there. We'll have a reunion. And hopefully this mess is behind us, and your band's out playing indoors, outdoors, everywheres, and hopefully we can get back to doing that. All right, I appreciate you. I'm going to let you guys go, strum the guitar, make some more beautiful music, and stay in touch, all right?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Over-under was 5. I only cried 4 times. I made the under. Melissa Houk, Jinokoya here. You can find her, find us, find all of my teachers of childhood and their descendants who are making rock and roll music and probably eating better pastries than you are, I'm sure, as well. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and the all-new BaltimorePositive.com.